Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of the Panther Report. I'm Amir Tyree and today I'm joined by Trip Ash and Max Vukolich. Today a lot of big things going on in High Point sports. First off, track and field had a successful weekend. The men's team won the distance medley relay and the women's side was highlighted by senior Cosette Collin running a PR in the mile. What do you two think this means as the teams head into the Big South Championships coming up soon?
Well, men's track, track itself has been really hot this season. Britton Mann and also Charnette Sisse have had really competitive performances for High Point so far.
Yeah, Britton Mann, he nearly broke the school record for the shot put, as well as Charnette Sisse. He finished first in his heat, and he also placed 9th overall. And as for the women's, Cosette Collins, she actually had a 4:57 mile, which places second so far this year in the Big South Conference.
Yeah, and they're often seated pretty high up, and you just think as they're getting around, indoor season is really short, and moving into the championships just around the corner is exactly where they want to be, I think, guys. And now, as we move on to baseball, a 3-1 to start off the season, beginning at NJIT as they hosted them at home 2-1, and then beating Davidson 12-11 late. Do you think High Point can make a deep run into the playoffs this year?
Well, it's very early in the season, but they definitely sure can, and they've had quite impressive performances so far this season. They had an impressive 6-5 comeback win where Carson Jackson nailed 2 solo home runs, and also my buddy Tim Mansfield in my senior seminar class was boasting about getting that walk-off win against Davidson, where they haven't beaten them at their house 15 years from now, so certainly heating up for the Panthers. Too early to call right now, but they can sure make a run if they can continue this hot streak.
Yeah, they definitely showed a lot of resiliency in that 6-5 comeback victory. They were down 5-1, came all the way back, and then against Davidson, that 12-11 victory, they really showed a lot of confidence because they blew multiple 3-run leads and they were able to hold on in the end. And I think that if they're able to hold on to that kind of resiliency and toughness, I think that they can definitely win the Big South Conference this year, especially with national champions last year, Coastal Carolina, outside the conference.
Yeah. And they also have like big power hitters, Austin Zinti, Carson Jackson. And if Josh Green can really get going this season, his senior year, we'll see how this season can really pan out.
Yeah, it's really opened up, and of course he was picked as the Big South Player of the Year for preseason last year, going into his senior year. I think we can expect some big things from them guys. And now, as we move over to women's basketball, they're coming off a close win, and men's basketball just lost a nail-biter in their last game. Going into this week, how do you guys think the two teams will finish out as they finish up their regular season and they go into the Big South tournament coming up soon?
Well, women's basketball has been on the rise. They had a 6-game win streak that was snapped by Campbell, where they got heavily out-rebounded, 40-23. They got destroyed by the Campbells, but Deanna Hendricks, great job for her to get her team back on track with the impressive 64-62 victory at Charleston Southern. So they're on the right pace. Maybe a race for the Big South for the regular season isn't quite in their grasp for first place, but it's a good time to heat up at the right moment for the Big South tournament, and especially great performances. Kayla Keys, Kat Harris. Keys had 16 points. Kat Harris, she's doing quite an impressive job getting tough transition layups, 13 points, especially in that game too. So you're starting to see all the pieces come together. And if Emma Backrash, she had quite an impressive performance, multiple 20-plus game outings so far this season. If she can heat up in the Big South tournament, watch out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They're heating up at the right time. But I agree that their first place in the regular season is probably out of reach with being 2 games back with only 3 to go. But they sit 3rd place in the Big South right now. And going into that playoffs, the only team that's really giving them trouble is Campbell. They've been blown out by them twice. So I think that if they can avoid them being on the other side of the bracket going into the Big South tournament, I think they can definitely make a run to that championship. And if you get there, you never know.
Definitely, guys. And you get leadership from your veterans and also from the young Backrash, who we've seen win plenty in her freshman campaign. So we know she's going to go on and keep doing things.
Huge role player.
And now we have Courtney with a preview of tonight's men's game. Over to you, Courtney.
It was a tight game last time High Point met Charleston Southern here in Millis earlier in the season. And last Saturday when High Point went down to North Charleston, they lost to Charleston Southern 76-75. Well, now tonight they're here to redeem themselves back in Millis against the Campbell Camels. The Camels are the ones who are trying to contend here because they have the largest spot to have an opening for the Big South Tourney coming up. So now we'll see the game tonight at 7 p.m. Be sure to come here to Millis, and it will be a great game for sure. For Triad News, this is Courtney Leopold.
Thanks, Courtney. It looked like it'll be a good one. And now we're going to go over to Dave with eSports.
It's that camera that you need to adjust.
Going on for the video game scene pretty soon coming up. Pretty excited to hear.
All right, Dave, we ready?
I'm ready. I don't know.
Let's go.
Let's take our time because we have nothing but time. We're all just hanging out. We're relaxing. Hello, and welcome to this week's eSports Spot. I'm your host, David Winchroad, and we have so much to cover, so please strap yourselves in because we're going quick. Now, in CSGO this week, the main topic is burnout. And no, that's not a player, though that would be a really cool name. It's just how tired the players are. The topic has been brought up after Godsent dropped out of the WESG Grand Finals yesterday. That's a tournament with like a $100.5 million prize pool, so teams don't drop out of that lightly, but JW, and that is a player, explained on Reddit that the team had to put their mental state and well-being into focus, and that will be them still playing in the E-League major coming up very soon. Now, to explain all this better, the average team last year competed in about 18 tournaments. Well, the average team this year has competed in about 17 tournaments, and they have half the year left to go. So there's definitely been a big jump. Only time will tell if these players get rested enough or if they start falling asleep at their computers. Who knows? In LoL, former Tainted Minds coach alleged that the team was mistreated by the organization and multiple players' contracts are in dispute right now. In Nero, the coach explains that the house was intermittently without power over a period of 2 months, the computers crashed too often to play on, and there was mold growing everywhere. When the team tried to back out of their contracts with the organization, they were told they could not leave under any circumstances. This is a huge deal because players need organizations to provide them with places to live and food to eat, but if they can't trust them, where's the LoL scene going? Now, finally, Dota 2, and this is what we're going to be spending most of our time on tonight. The reason to this because of the insane best-of-3 last night between OG and Team Secret. It's the Star Ladder Finals, and Team Secret's coming hot off another best-of-3 win where they dominated IG Vitality. And after a frankly brutal performance, you have to imagine this team felt good. But OG had different plans for them. And Game 1 started off looking dominant for Secret as they crushed on in the mid lane, and the Storm looked like it had no way to come back, but after several superior mid-game fights, somehow OG managed to take back the momentum. Now you have to understand, I set my alarm at 6 o'clock this morning to watch this, and this is what I get right here, is this fight. Game 2 of Secret versus OG. Oh my God, I almost yelled in my bed. My roommates almost heard me. Secret starts off this fight absolutely dominant. They got a 3-man chrono, and there's no reason they shouldn't be able to win. But at the end, OG just turned it around off of this great invoker by Ana, and of course now, as you see, OG is going to take the win, and they take 2 games to 1. After Secret's dominant performance against IG Vitality, so you have to wonder, OG is looking very good right now, and they should be nothing but excited moving ahead. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me ramble. I promise to do it again next week with much more gusto. My name is David Winchroad. Now back to you guys, Amir, at the desk.
Thank you, Dave. Guys, Dave really knows his esports stuff. If you're going to get in Dota, it's really exciting to watch, and just all the other sports. He's always keeping us updated. Thank you, Dave. But as we move on, a lot of NCAA upsets. All right, as we move into March Madness season, and we look and see as teams start switching around in their conference. What do you guys really look and see that impressed you?
It's hard to really judge first, Amir, because there were so many actually just this past yesterday. Duke getting a big upset from Syracuse. John Gillen with the upset buzzer beater for Cuse to knock off Duke. Also, we had Butler, who comes in to beat Villanova as well. And Oregon also surviving the 6th seed winning on a buzzer beater as well from a three-point range against California. So really a lot for me. I'm going to have to say the impressive Syracuse over Duke victory.
I definitely agree that Syracuse was definitely the highlight of yesterday. Everyone watched that game. Yesterday had a top 10 matchup with North Carolina and Louisville, and that was also a very exciting game. But for me, the one that was the most impressive was Butler's victory at Villanova. That gives them the season sweep over Villanova, and it puts them at the second seed in the Big East going into the Big East tournament. And it looks like they're set up to play Villanova once again in that Big East championship. And if they're able to win that again, I could definitely see them making a run in March Madness.
Definitely, guys. And now we're going to move over to the NBA, and obviously today the trade deadline did happen. As of 3 p.m., the trades have gone through. We saw a lot of moving around. What do you guys like to see? What did you like from all the trades that went on today? What surprised you, if anything?
Well, I got to say, the number one thing that surprised me, DeMarcus Cousins, Boogie going to New Orleans. You got Davis, and we're going to see that Cousins tandem that will be pretty solid in New Orleans. Also, another shocker, Dallas getting Nerlens Noel, and at the same time, Philadelphia securing another top pick in the NBA draft. So Philadelphia getting some role players. You're starting to see them really build up and get that momentum, and they're certainly building off Joel Embiid too. So off to a right pace for some teams. And at the same time, we saw some couple interesting moves too, where a lot of teams went for Paul George. I think Denver was willing to trade 5 players for him at the same time. So we saw definitely an upgrade from last season, a lot of potential moves that are being made so far this NBA season. So very exciting so far.
It's always exciting with trade deadline. But Boogie Cousins was especially shocking because the owner had just said a couple weeks before that they were not going to trade him and they were committed to Cousins. So that trade really shocked me. But the one that really stood out to me as the best move was the Thunder trading 3 role players for 2 players that I think are going to be a big impact in them making a playoff run possibly. They got Taj Gibson and Doug McDermott from the Bulls. And I think that Taj Gibson is a great defensive player and he'll be really great on the boards for them. And then Doug McDermott, it gives them a much needed shooting that they haven't had all season. So I think that that will really help them going forward.
And that will be kind of exciting to see too for Oklahoma City too. That opens up your shooting where you got Victor Oladipo, not to mention Russell Westbrook, who's had an unbelievable season as of late. So we're going to see how that really builds up too, especially with Enes Kanter too. I'm going to be excited to see Oklahoma City and especially New Orleans as well. And like you said before, I don't believe Sacramento got the best value out of that deal, where even their general manager, Vlad Divac, said they had a better deal in mind 2 days ago, but they didn't really pursue that. But we'll see how the Kings will fare, especially with the old Tyreek Evans back with the Kings. So we'll see how that can pan out for them.
One thing I do want to point out, though, guys, is a team who was really big, who was looking to make big moves, the Boston Celtics. You saw, if you remember last year, Isaiah Thomas, he tweets his 2 eye emojis, and then next thing you know, Al Horford, they have an organization. He tweets it again this year, and you see Andre Drummond return it. They also look and they want to make a move towards a Paul George, who is very difficult to get, obviously. We talked about all the teams pursuing him. He's a franchise player that a lot of teams want to get. But they have a lot to offer in Boston. They have 7 first-round picks over the next 4 years. They have a Brooklyn pick coming up that's at least top 3, top 4, possibility for Alonzo Ball and Markelle Fultz, and a lot of top guys. But definitely, I think it was a lot more talk than actual action, though.
Yeah, definitely.
This year.
Definitely. Boston was also rumored to try to get Jimmy Butler, and you can tell that if they're not willing to make that move, they really don't think they can beat the Cavaliers this year.
And it's also interesting to see, too, a lot of your franchise players are also being in the talks of being traded. So it's a lot of loyalty aspect where you're seeing Reggie Jackson, who's a solid all-around player, being in the talks of rumors of being traded. You're seeing all these key players that are in the talks right now. So it's going to be interesting, again, to see how this NBA season will play out for the rest of the season.
That's definitely the KD effect. Everyone's scared that they're going to lose Kevin Durant just like the Thunder did, but no one has Russell Westbrook to carry them after he leaves, so they're trying to get ahead of that.
Well, thank you for listening, guys. We had a lot going on this week, and we'll be back next week right before we go into next break. And we'll see you next time on Panther Report.